Hey all, Ron here from Military Images Magazine with a new episode of Life on the Civil War Research Trail. This is a tale of three Union generals and the death of one Confederate general. First, the three Union generals. Phil Sheridan was famously brash, aggressive, and outspoken. George G. Meade was famously irritable and quick tempered. Soldiers called him the old snapping turtle behind his back. Both served together in the Army of the Potomac. Meade commanded the army and Sheridan the cavalry corps. On May 8, 1864, the two men got into a heated exchange that ended with an intervention of sorts by the man pictured here, their boss, Lieutenant General Ulysses S. Grant, the overall commander of all the U.S. forces. Now, here's the heated exchange between Sheridan and Meade. To set the scene for you, it's May 8th in Virginia near Spotsylvania Courthouse. Sheridan tells the story in his post-war memoirs. Quote, I proceeded to join General Wesley Merritt on the Spotsylvania Road. On reaching Merritt, I found General Gouverneur K. Warren making complaint that the cavalry, that's Sheridan's cavalry, were obstructing his infantry column. So I drew Merritt off the road, and the leading division of Warren's 5th Corps pushed up to the front. It got into line about 1 o'clock and advanced to take the village, but it did not go very far before it struck Confederate General Anderson's corps and was hurled back with heavy loss. This ended all endeavor to take Spotsylvania that day. A little before noon, General Meade sent for me, and when I reached his headquarters, I found that his peppery temper had got the better of his good judgment. He showing a disposition to be unjust, laying blame here and there for the blunders that had been committed. He was particularly severe on the cavalry, saying, among other things, that it had impeded the march of Warren's 5th Corps by occupying the Spotsylvania Road. And I replied that if this were true, he himself had ordered it there without my knowledge. I also told him that he had broken up my combinations, exposed General Wilson's division to disaster, that's one of Sheridan's divisions, and kept another division, Gregg's division, unnecessarily idle, and further repelled by Meade's insinuations by saying that such disjointed operations as he had been requiring of the cavalry for the last 4 days would render the corps inefficient and useless the less so. One word brought in another until finally I told him that I could whip Stuart, that's General JEB Stuart, if he, Meade, would only let me. But since he insisted on giving the cavalry directions without consulting or even notifying me, he could henceforth command the cavalry corps himself. But I would not give it another order. The acrimonious interview ended with this remark, and after I left him, he went to General Grant's headquarters and repeated the conversation to him, mentioning that I had said that I could whip Stuart. At this, General Grant remarked, did he say so? Then let him go out and do it. This intimation was immediately acted upon by General Meade. And a little later, the order came to me. Let me pause here, and I'm going to read the order to you. Headquarters, Army of the Potomac, May 8th, 1864, 1 p.m. General Sheridan, commanding Cavalry Corps. The Major General commanding directs you to immediately concentrate your available mounted force and, with your ammunition trains and such supply trains are filled, exclusive of ambulances, proceed against the enemy's cavalry, and when your supplies are exhausted, proceed via Newmarket and Green Bay to Hacksaw's Landing on the James River, there communicating with General Butler, procuring supplies, and return to this army. Your dismounted men will be left with the train here. So that's the order. And that's all Sheridan needed. So let me continue his dialogue from the memoirs. Quote, as soon as the order was received, I issued instructions for the concentration of the 3 divisions of cavalry at Aldrich's to prepare for the contemplated expedition. 3 days' rations for the men were distributed, and half rations of grain for 1 day were doled out for the horses. I sent for my division commanders, Gregg, Merritt, and Wilson, and communicated the order to them, saying at the same time, we are going to fight Stuart's. We're going to fight Stuart's cavalry in consequence of his suggestion from me. We will give him a fair, square fight. We are strong, and I know we can beat him. And in my view of my recent representations to General Meade, I shall expect nothing but success. Now, we get to the part about General Stuart. Sheridan and his troopers set out on May 9th, just a day after that heated exchange with Meade, the intervention by Grant, the orders, all of this happening within hours. And then quickly, Sheridan getting together his division commanders, giving everybody supplies for the men and the horses. The next morning, they're out. They're already out. So this is happening about less than 24 hours before all this unfolds. And that's on May 9th. 2 days later, on May 11th, at Yellow Tavern, Sheridan's cavalry catch up with Stuart's horsemen. And in the Battle of Yellow Tavern, they inflict a mortal wound on JEB Stuart, killing him at age 31. So thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next episode of Life on the Civil War Research Trail.